Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Facts are important, so why don't we get to some facts? You were asked how many VA personnel have been let go, and you said 1,000, but this committee had been given information that there were some 2,400 who have been let go, and then you're trying to get back to 2019 numbers, which would be another 70 to 80,000. So what happened to the other 1,000 or so that we have been told have been released by the VA?
Following the court order, they're back employed.
I'm sorry?
Following the court order, they are back employed.
Okay, so in other words, when you fired all these people or let them go, that you didn't follow appropriate procedures and therefore you had to hire them back. That's not what I consider a process that is going to determine whether or not people are
I disagree with that premise. So we had one judge in one area do this. This court is still being litigated. So as you well know,
we have actually had in other departments where they have fired people and other judges that have said you have to follow an actual procedure. So getting back to some factual information, in February 21, you claim that the VA has saved millions of dollars by firing staff. How much have you saved? You said millions. What's the amount?
Those millions in the round amount I'd have to get back, especially now with those who've come back, there's probably a different number that I'd have to get back with you on.
Aren't you prepared to give us that information knowing that you are testifying, knowing that you will probably be asked for factual information such as this? So you don't know, even if you said in February that you saved millions of dollars by firing staff. And then you said,
well, let me re-clarify there.
Let me finish my question,
well, we
please.
did say $14 million when we did away with our DEI.
You say $14 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so then my next question is, where is all that money going? I have a series of questions relating to your comments on February 21st. So you said millions of dollars. Now you're testifying. First you said you would have to get back to me, but now you're saying $14 million. Also, by cutting unnecessary programs, can you tell me what unnecessary programs specifically you have cut? And then you've redirected those savings, some $14 million, you say today, to veterans. And I would like to know specifically where these monies were redirected. Do you have that information
The
today?
number that I gave you just now on the DEI was the $14 million. Those have been directed to those with disabilities and prosthetics. We've also had a part of that millions was also contracts that were either terminated or renegotiated that we were in the process of doing.
I think you need to tell us exactly what contracts have been terminated, because that's what that's the thing about a contract. You know, when you terminate it, you have to have a reason for that. Otherwise, you end up having to pay.
Senator, also in the contracts, you also have to, when you're going through contracts and renegotiation, you also have to make sure that you're doing it properly. We're going to give you all the information you need when those are actually finished.
I would hope that you would have had all that specific information today. You have about 500,000 employees at the VA?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Does that sound right? You have 500,000 employees at the VA?
No, we do not.
What is some number of
about 470.
Okay, that's getting pretty close to 500,000.
Yeah,
so
it's a little high.
And what categories are they employed? I mean, for example, how many nurses, how many doctors? Do you have this 470,000 employees broken down by categories of jobs?
Well, that is part of our problem, Senator, and I laid that out in my opening statement, and also in my conversation with.
But you don't know.
No, and
you don't have that.
Let me say something.
You don't have that information.
Let me say something. Yes, we have over 300,000, probably closer to 400,000 position titles. But you know what the problem is?
Thank you.
Before I ever got there, we couldn't even find some of these when our HR people started to look at. So we took what we had at that point.
Let me proceed.
I just want you. If you want a direct answer, then I'm giving you a direct answer.
You have a lot of people who are working for you. I would like to know, because there are questions about who are you actually going to let go when you get to the 2019 numbers that is your goal. So you were asked some questions about the clinical trials. That's very important to provide healthcare services to our veterans when they are enrolled in clinical trials. Do you know how many clinical trials are in pause? And do you know how many veterans are in clinical trials?
I'd have to get that number back to you.
Is it 10? Is it more than, are we talking about 1,000 clinical trials?
No, we're not
when
talking about But again, here's the question.
Can you give me a ballpark figure on?
No, I'm not going to ballpark because it'll be used against me next time I'm
You
here.
don't know how many people that you have put on pause so that they are not getting the healthcare services that they need, because that's what a clinical trial is. You are getting medication, you are seeing doctors, you put these trials on pause. You cannot tell me how many veterans are now being paused in their clinical trials. You cannot tell me how many veterans are enrolled in clinical trials. You also cannot tell me how many clinical trials impact some, well, you have over 9 million veterans that you are taking care of. Clinical trials are very important, and you said so yourself. Mr. Chairman, I have other questions. You know, it's very clear that our secretary has not come with much in the way of numbers, and I really don't know how he's going to go about getting to 2019 figures for cutting employees, and he can't tell us what the categories of employees are, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we're going to need to hear from Mr. Secretary again. Mr. Secretary, would you commit to coming back to this committee to provide us the kind of information we are asking for and to respond to questions?
I will get you the information that you asked for, which
Will
is what we've been doing.
will you come back to testify, or is this it for us with you,
I will
Mr.
get you the information that you're looking for, Senator.
Mr. Chairman, we're not getting any commitment from the Secretary that he will come back to this committee to provide us the responses to our questions. Thank you.
Senator
that
Tillis.
says a lot.
Good morning, Secretary.
Good morning.
How are you doing? I guess it may
Having
be
a ball.
afternoon.